Earth 2 players and community. Recent Earth 2 vlogs have been focused on EcoSim buildings and the work-in-progress development of E2v1, our one-to-one scale digital version of the planet Earth. While both of these are scheduled upcoming feature releases, recent short-term focus on them inevitably detracts from some of our other long-term goals Earth 2 has. And for this reason, we've decided to focus on residential and commercial-style buildings for vlog number 6. Here we're showing a modest commercial-style property which could easily represent part of a bustling city. It provides a visual example of how a player may customize such a property and how it would appear to others. We handpicked 4 building types from a larger pool of models yet to be showcased. These 4 buildings share the same art style. However, we plan to release scores of varying art styles per building type to support greater player expression, affiliation, and creativity. And each art style will support additional types of customization. We've implemented interior mapping to add an aesthetically pleasing layer to the exterior building view. Interior mapping is a technique that was first invented and published in a paper by J.V. Dongan in 2008. It was not widely adopted by the industry until more recently. Prominent titles that use this technique are Forza Horizon, Spider-Man, SimCity 5, and Assassin's Creed, to name a few. It's used to create look-alike interiors for buildings when rendering actual interiors at scale is too expensive. Unlike most implementations, which rely on cube maps, our implementation calculates UV coordinates differently in order to sample from a 2D texture array. This is more performant and allows us to introduce some additional layers to display furniture and other things in the windows. Over time, we plan to expand on this feature, but until then, buildings will have interiors which are accessible by the player, but not identically visible from the building's exterior view. For the most part, commercial and residential buildings will be constructed using building blocks manufactured by player-operated EcoSim buildings. This not only expands the utility for essence, resources, raw materials, and EcoSim buildings, but introduces a hands-on, competitive, and strategic level of gameplay that will open up new opportunities inside the Earth 2 metaverse. As mentioned in our previous vlogs, transportation and logistics will become a big part of the Earth 2 EcoSim. Constructing commercial and residential buildings will require relevant building blocks and materials to be immediately available at the location in order to commence and complete construction. Players will need to acquire a blueprint of the building they wish to construct, place a hollow building on the desired construction site, and ensure the correct type of construction droids are ready to commence construction of the building with the relevant building blocks. The primary purpose for a residential building will be to provide a personal space where the player can customize their own internal virtual environment, allowing them to store, host, interact with, and display digital goods that belong to them in a space they created. These virtual environments will be accessible by entering the building, and although this is the residential building's primary purpose, we are building a metaverse, and our goal is to bend logic to make things more interesting and outside the realm of normal where possible. We want to diversify utility even for things like residential buildings, so they become multi-purpose structures above and beyond their intended primary objective. We're prototyping ideas such as residential buildings partaking in the EcoSim by allowing the player to adapt their residential buildings to produce sycophants, which will be needed to operate EcoSim buildings, drive transportation, navigate ships, battle, and so forth. In the same way, commercial buildings will have a primary purpose to link real-world commercial experiences for Earth 2 players, but beyond that primary objective would offer multi-purpose utility to train or educate for a player's sycophants to determine career pathways, improving their efficiency and usefulness across various areas of the EcoSim, and more. It should be noted that it's our intention to introduce sycophants as an additional dynamic to the EcoSim after the initial release, testing, and balancing is stable. Different types of commercial and residential buildings will require the player to have achieved different levels of research technology, meaning accomplishing a more advanced EcoSim configuration will unlock the ability to create more advanced blueprints, construction droids, and structures. Different structures at different technology levels will have the ability to do different things. For example, a low-tier small structure may be able to display a single small billboard, while larger, more advanced buildings will be able to display more advanced, larger billboards on a greater scale. Players who own buildings displaying billboards will have the ability to control what type of ads or messages are being delivered on their building or extensive network, should they own more than one building. A player may also choose to display their own customized ad or message, perhaps supporting a game they're playing, how they feel, or something they support on Earth 1. Should a player not wish to control which ad shows on their billboards, they'll have the option of permitting generic ads or messages pending supply and demand. Building types and technological tier levels will not only be limited to influencing billboard numbers and sizes, but will also allow commercial and residential buildings to provide other types of utility to the owner as well, many of which will be options chosen by the player. The Earth 2 EcoSim will become a real-time, logistical, player-driven economic simulation, creating a unique, interesting, and dynamic trading environment that spans across a one-to-one scale digital replication of the planet Earth. Our EcoSim will be driven by direct trade, where the players are in control of what they trade, where they trade, how they trade, the prices they trade for, and many other mechanics that will result in an exciting, engaging, and unpredictable economic simulated environment. It will also involve the potential for conflict. The Earth 2 team cannot wait to see how players partake in this system, and do let us know which place on Earth 2 you're planning to create your residential or commercial properties first. Instead of building behind closed doors and limiting public releases, Earth 2 has chosen to actively share our journey with our community each and every step of the way. While this option is inevitably more mistake-prone, we feel the upside is that it allows us to keep engaged with our community and release features to our supporters earlier than otherwise would have been possible. These are features that have long-term relevance in our vision of what Earth 2 will become. Vlogs are one example of us providing progressive details to our community, allowing those interested in participating inside Earth 2 to piece together how various aspects are going to function. For example, instead of releasing a tech tree, we decided to release details out in a series of vlogs. It's possible that we may never release an official tech tree, preferring to make it something an EcoSim player needs to either learn intuitively once that feature is released, study it themselves, or review content other Earth 2 players often share publicly, similar to how jewel crafting has worked to date with regards to crafting recipes across different tiers. Thank you for watching and being part of our journey, and don't forget to let us know which country or city you're planning to build your residential or commercial properties in first. Please follow us for upcoming vlogs where we'll cover details about the gold polymerizer, the petrol processor, and more about Earth 2, Phase 2, and our EcoSim.